Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Holistic Conversations. I hope you are doing well. You had a good day. Um, and today we have a guest whose name is Jessica Hammock. She is very passionate about heart, mind, and body wellness. She endeavors to teach others about emotional and mental health, helping them unwind the treasure from the trauma to walk in the truth of their identity and empowering them to break free of what is holding them back to nurture the best version of themselves. She's also the founder of Vibrant Voice Coaching, Consulting, and Counseling. Jessica serves as a trauma recovery and transformation coach, licensed trauma specialist, and a lot of other things which I'm not going to read because it sounds very boring. Let's bring her in, talk to her one on one, learn from her, and let us also know about her journey, uh, where she is, how can we reach out to her, and all other things. Okay, without any delay, I would like to bring her in. Namaste, Jessica. Welcome to Holistic Conversations.
Hello, I'm excited to be here.
We are excited, curious, and looking forward to learn more about you, what you do, what brought you here, how are you finding life now, what difference you see, and so many other questions.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
Okay. As soon as you say ready, I'm ready with my questions.
I always love a good conversation, so let's get going.
Okay. So, I want to know, like, what inspired you to uh, be a trauma specialist? What was the reason behind it,
Yeah.
or what was the intention behind?
So I started my journey as a teacher actually, and I was working in a school system. I became a counselor, and what I found is it didn't really matter how good I was at other things, especially from an educational standpoint. I could give the education the content. But what I found is that trauma was the biggest barrier to individuals learning and individuals' growth. And so that started my pursuit of like understanding trauma. And then as I began to understand and learn more about it, I realized, okay, to a degree, we all have gone through things that have um, essentially been like a trauma for us. Trauma, when I learned about it, it really became less of a thing that was a disorder, which people call it disordered, but it really is more of an injury to our nervous system. And when I began to understand it from that aspect, I'm like, we all have injuries. Some injuries are like paper cuts, and some injuries are like losing limbs. They're very significant and impact a lot of our lives. And so when I understood that conceptually, it made me want to go deeper into studying how can I help people heal from injuries? Because when you're injured, healing is possible. And I love that aspect of really partnering with individuals, providing a sense of hope in their healing journey, and then supporting what healing looks like for them.
Wow, that's really a very natural way of uh, understanding and your curiosity. I would say your curiosity to learn more and your ability to even see people going through their trauma
Yeah.
and redirect them to a better life, as you have mentioned, like you help them walk out from their trauma. So how do, because it is like really it affects us emotionally
Mhm.
when we are listening to somebody's story or
Mhm.
whatever they have gone through. Like I have felt like after listening to their story I can cry, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
How to balance that, like, because I have gone through that and it has took me some practice. you know.
Mhm.
So I'm curious to know, because there are different degrees of trauma, you know.
Yeah.
Like you said, a paper cut, or not having a limb, or like, there are different degrees. So we also as therapists get affected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things in working with individuals with trauma is to really remember our role in that aspect of things and not thinking of taking on the responsibility for the healing. So there's a difference in
Good one.
being a support versus taking
Yes.
responsibility.
Yes.
And oftentimes when we hear people's story of pain, we're as human beings, we're very uncomfortable hearing about pain. It's
Yes.
uncomfortable to our senses. Um, and so, in some way, we have partnered with a responsibility that says, I have to alleviate this pain.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable for me to be present with pain
Yeah.
without trying to alleviate it or to
Yeah.
dissociate. Some
Yeah.
people don't, they're uncomfortable with it. And instead of taking responsibility, they're like, I don't want to get away. Don't want to hear about this. I need to remove myself from it. And
Yeah.
so those are the people that are not necessarily in the healing space, but they're the people that we oftentimes, the wounded, look to because they feel dismissed, rejected, abandoned by those people. So I think knowing that it's taken a lot of practice, but I was in a program for a really long time as sort of a trainer facilitator. And one of the things that they would always say is it's okay for people to sit in their pain for a little bit. And it was a skill I had to learn to be neutral in myself
Mm.
without taking responsibility for
Yeah.
somebody's relief from their pain. Now, what I say is there's a difference between dismissing somebody in their pain experience versus taking responsibility.
Yeah.
And there is value in us sometimes allowing ourselves in a safe space to be present with our pain so that it can be released out of us and we can heal.
Mm.
And when you, as a caregiver, a listener, a supporter, a healer, a therapist, a coach, want to rush in and create the healing, oftentimes the healing then occurs, like the process occurs so quickly that the healing doesn't stay long term
Mm-hmm.
because we've rushed to alleviate the pain. It's kind of like with little children. If
Yeah.
we rush to relieve all their barriers, there's some valuable life lessons that they miss out on in cultivating their own growth and their ability to do stuff. You know, if we
Yeah.
hold their hand while they're trying to walk everywhere and remove all of their obstacles and they never fall down in a safe space, they get out in the world and they fall down, it's extra damaging to them, right?
Yep.
But if we can allow them to toddle around the house and maneuver around coffee tables and couches and tables and chairs in a safe way that we can monitor and support their healing, they're much more likely to be efficient and resilient in the outside world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so realistic, you know.
Yeah.
It's real. Like, when at home we can remove all the obstacles, but when we're going outside, nobody knows us.
Yeah.
And we keep expecting that, okay, this will be removed, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So that's the struggle when we go outside. But as you said, if they learned this thing from home, um, they try to apply doing that for themselves,
Yeah.
you know. So that is a very good thing that you shared, that they learn resilience when they go outside of their home.
Yeah. So then we can be present with them in safe spaces,
Yeah.
knowing this is part of their healing process, that
Yeah.
they will be okay to experience a little pain. We're teaching them that release, that support, so they can be safe and be resilient in places where people don't know them, where they're not going to, the world in general as a whole is not going to say, what happened to you? They're going to say, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting this way? Right? So if we get to be the space that said, what happened to you, and give them safety to talk about it, to process it, to release it, the nervous system can regulate and heal in that
Mm-hmm.
environment.
Yeah.
And so then when they are out in those spaces in the world where people won't always stop to acknowledge their story, they're much more likely to be resilient and not be as agitated or bothered by the fact that everybody isn't available for them because they know they have somebody that's available.
That's right. That's right. Um, wow, it's so nice talking about you. You have been a teacher, so you can really talk about those experiences that you have gone through. And like you said, like no matter what you do, you are not enough. You know,
Hmm.
everybody is like, no, you know this, but still you don't know this. You know, like
Hmm.
they're judging you or whatever it is. So, how do you see schools nowadays? Because nowadays there's a lot of talk going on
Hmm.
around. I have also seen so many things that I don't like personally, but system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think overall schools are working towards addressing trauma a little bit differently. There's a push to identify for teachers to identify
Yes.
trauma informed practices, trauma informed, like what does trauma look like, sound like, and feel like in a setting. Where I feel like sometimes the biggest struggle is that most of the adults that are learning these things haven't healed from their own traumas.
Yes.
So there's
Yes.
this little bit of disconnect, like, wait a minute, you want me to do all these things for the students I'm teaching, and nobody did that for me. Or
Yeah.
I haven't done that for myself. I
Yeah.
haven't healed from some of my own things. It's difficult to be present with an individual who's going through a trauma or has experienced trauma in their life if you haven't had that modeled for you.
Yeah.
And one of the phrases that I use a lot with educators is a well regulated adult
Mm-hmm.
produces a well regulated child.
Yes.
So if the adult has not practiced emotional, mental, physical regulation in their body and they're
Yeah.
just reacting, it's difficult to ask a child to be regulated because they have
Yeah.
no model for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I do see a bigger push overall. Um,
Yeah.
but I also think it's really necessary for adults to pay attention to work on that as well.
Yes, I think it's like working on both,
Yeah.
you know, working on both, but it definitely doesn't unfold the same way.
No.
It definitely doesn't unfold. So we have a gap, we have a lack, and
Mhm.
then there's no proper attention, or I will say
Mhm.
priority, because school systems always they have shortage of staff.
Mhm.
They are rushing through so many things. They have to finish the curriculum and so many other things.
Mhm.
It's good for children who are, like, you know, competitive. They can pick it up, they are doing good,
Mhm.
they are going on with the pace, but not everybody is in the same pace.
Yeah.
So that makes all the difference, and I think that is a good opportunity also. It's a
Yeah.
good opportunity also, because it's a life full of learning. It's a journey.
Mhm.
It's a journey. It's
Mhm.
There's no quick fix.
No. We would all like that one.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, we would. I mean, it's more convenient.
Yeah. If we could just hit the fast forward button through
Yeah,
this painful part, right? And get to where we're
absolutely,
going.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think we have done that knowingly or unknowingly. We have numbed it down, we have dissociated, we have not really taken care of or walked away from our pain, and
Mhm.
not connect. And we did so many things that we don't do regularly when we are in a good mood. You know,
Yeah.
we are like, we can include everything. My mood is good, but I'm
Mhm.
upset, so I'm not going to include all these things, which is very natural. But we need to learn that we are made of all these good and not good
Yeah.
things.
And I also think that even though as a whole there's more information than there's ever been about trauma and
Yeah.
there's more access to resources and support, there's more conversations about it. I think generationally and culturally, there are still some really big barriers. And
Yes.
so, what I see a lot in young adults, teens, and kids is this push to work through some of this to heal, but they're still living in an environment with a family culture, a community culture, whatever that culture piece that's present for them, and even some of the generations. Some of the cultures are very familial in how many generations live in one household, and so if you have the elders of that generation that are diminishing their experience or diminishing this idea of working through some painful things, it creates this dynamic of like, how do I still work on this and it doesn't feel comfortable and I'm really struggling, but also I want to honor my elders and I want to be loved by my elders. And so there's this big disconnect in pushing through some of those barriers as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that is how we are more divided,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
sometimes it's very difficult to live in a family system where we are not being supported,
Yeah.
and it's not all goody goody in every
Hmm.
situation. So um, it's very important to have that self determination and knowledge of leaving your environment when
Yeah.
you are thinking that you are not being treated well or you deserve better for yourself, without any guilt or
Yeah.
without any shame or without any kind of inhibitions, because you are thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
You're
And I
thinking.
think there's the school systems that are working on this, that are presenting this, are also met with that resistance from the familial cultural side of things as well. So it's like the children might have access to the knowledge or information or be receiving this trauma informed care and education, and then they go home and there's still that disconnect. And it's like, this doesn't make, especially for kids under 10, where their brain really isn't engaging in that logic piece, it's a big disconnect, ultimately, between like staying focused on healing what's injured in them versus like being present in things that are causing injuries to some
Yeah,
degree because it's not affirmed. And I think that it's not, there's lots of stories out there about past, like, why do we do the things we do, right? I don't know.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
because our parents did it and our grandparents did it. And they're like, well,
yeah,
why did they do it? I don't know. It's just the thing they did.
yeah,
And a lot of the elders had so much time that was devoted to basic living survival needs,
yes,
meeting those needs of how do we get food and clothing and shelter right now,
yes,
that they didn't have the time, or capacity in their day to think about things beyond that.
yes,
And in an effort to work really hard, grandparents and parents provided those creature comforts to us that made our life a little easier to live by,
yeah,
but then it created more time and space in our day for us to think about things differently and process things differently because we weren't out there. Like, if you're working hard in a factory or in a field or all those,
yeah,
trying to work in a agriculturally or, in a factory, the industrial age kind of era,
yes, yes,
you have to work a lot harder physically. So your mind
yes,
doesn't have time to think through some things the same way
yeah,
it does for individuals who might be a YouTuber or
yeah,
an IT specialist, so there's all these different components to how we live in different societies now, that
yeah,
because we have these different comforts of living, we have more expansiveness to dwell on other things.
yeah,
I think it can be helpful, but
yeah,
they don't, our parents and grandparents don't have that experience.
they
So they
don't.
don't have that context of like being in the same way that we are or
Yeah,
that the children and grandchildren are.
that's right. And I think that is what is the empathy. Can I say
Yeah.
empathy?
Mhm.
Compassion, because they don't have room for these kind of uh, lifestyle or living or
Yeah.
uh, Gen Z or
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it's a lot of gap.
Yeah.
It's a lot
Mm.
of gap, and the dynamics of life has changed. Like
Mhm.
we don't go to the field anymore.
Right.
We go out to work somewhere else,
Yeah.
and we see so many different people with different mindsets.
Mhm.
What happens is when we are going to a factory, we meet with a particular set of people who are like-minded and they have
Mhm.
different set of uh, values and thoughts and ideas. But when
Yeah.
we are going out, we meet so many different kind of people, and we know,
Mhm.
oh wow, this is something new that I learned,
Yeah.
and probably I will try to learn this. So there's good and bad always. Like there's no perfection. It's like just
Right.
progress, and whatever suits um, with whatever someone is
Yeah.
prioritizing in their life. So I think suffering is very common
Hmm.
uh, in everybody's life, like depending on what they're choosing. It's not like if I choose this, I don't have any suffering. No,
Right.
we
Right.
still have suffering, but it's a different way, different
Yes.
kind of suffering,
Hmm.
different degree of suffering, depending
Yes.
upon how much you are impacted and how
Hmm.
much you have reacted. So there's a lot that is happening here, and with that, I would like to ask you about. You have been you worked as a teacher for how many years? You.
So I worked, I'm still in an educational field right now, but I was a
Mm-hmm.
classroom teacher
Yeah.
um, for just over 10 years before I transitioned to doing mental health
Wow.
specifically, and then working as a counselor and being head of a department at a school system that does
Wow.
mental and health because I wanted to train teachers with skills I didn't have. That became
Yeah.
part of the, so I do educating now. I just educating the educators as
Yeah.
opposed to the students, mainly from the aspect of there still are so many people that need tools to regulate themselves. They need tools to heal. And so I consider it like kind of that ripple effect. If
Yeah.
I can educate 50 educators and they each have 100 or two students, like the
Yeah.
impact to those 102 students is different because I gave that one educator the tools to regulate themselves, to see the children differently, to have different conversations. Um, and so I consider that, a really
Yeah.
great opportunity to give somebody skills I didn't have access to when I was teaching.
Definitely. That is so inspiring, I would say.
Hmm.
Like, it's like serving who are going to serve.
Hmm.
One, you are serving one life, but they are going to impact 50 at least.
Yeah.
So that's great. That's just inspiring. So inspiring. You are correcting somewhere, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I want to ask like, uh, you are also, oh, you are now training the teachers,
Hmm.
educators, and everyone. Um, I saw your picture, you had a crown. Can you talk something about it?
Yeah. So, what I work in, so I also do private practice. I coach people, I do some counseling, private therapy work. In private therapy is really in the state of Texas in the United States.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But I have people who've reached out post COVID era because COVID, I could do counseling across state lines and they've sort of moved back on that for individuals now. But I do therapeutic coaching sort of along those lines. But as part of my journey, one of the things that really I struggled with in my own identity was really my how I showed up and my personality having big bold expressions along the way and people being really uncomfortable with that. And one of the parts of my journey was really working on the identity of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a conversation recently. I'm like, I explain identity as the unique way that we think, feel, and choose in
Yes.
life. And so if that's my identity, what is the unique thing that I'm thinking, feeling, and choosing? And for me, it was to believe internally that I am regal, that I have this ability to believe that I have a royalty about me, that I get to choose from a different standard of living. And I read a really great book. It was called The Audacity to Be Queen. And it was
Wow.
based on the historical account of Queen Esther. And so for me, it was kind of this mindset frame of like a queen operates differently than a princess does. A queen operates from a place of regulation and a place of accessing resources and not feeling constricted or plain or pouty or whiny or frustrated. Like, does that mean there's not resistance? No, we still might have resistance. We might have delays. But when I think for myself, okay, if I was a queen thinking about this, I know that there's answers to my problems. I know that there's resources I can access. I know that there's allies I have. I know that there's healing I have access to. So if I operate from that mindset, then it allows me to elevate my nervous system to a different place because I know that what I have need of is available to me, even if I haven't thought of it yet. Just the knowing that there's a piece there, that I have this availability of things. My mind, what I know about the mind is it will go in the direction to look for it.
Yeah.
Whereas if I believe, oh, life is hard, I don't have access to things, I'm falling apart, things are painful, my mind will look for evidence to support that. So I chose to embody that crown in all of my work and branding, and just this idea of that I internally can think, feel, believe, and act as if I am someone who is of royalty, which allows me to elevate my mindset, my actions, and my interactions with other people. And it's not that there's not pain there, but getting stuck in it is doesn't occur the same way. So
Yeah.
when I work with private clients and we look at who are you, what is the unique way that you think, feel, and choose, it helps them to kind of come into this ownership of this is who I am. Are there is there a place in life where I might encounter resistance, or I might encounter something that rubs up against me that creates friction? Yes. And we get to take that feedback and look at, is there truth to some refinement that I need to
Mm.
have, some healing I need to have? Or is that somebody else speaking from their own place of woundedness and I don't need to own that? That's a reflection of who they are, not a reflection of me. And when people walk through that process of really saying, no, this is the unique way that I think, feel, and choose, and I'm not operating from a place of pain. I'm not operating from a place where I'm in a trauma state. I'm fully regulated and I'm able to embrace this with confidence. It allows them to be more authentic in all the work that they're doing, whatever that realm is. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that just brings them, that just grounds them
yeah,
in being who they are
yeah,
truly, you know.
yeah,
And that's such a good gift.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of power in the words that we speak and what we commit to. Um, the meaning of Jessica in some origins means wealthy. And I'm like, when I think of wealthy, I think of royalty. And I'm like,
Wow.
I'm just walking this embodiment out.
Wow. That's really amazing. I didn't know
So,
that.
yeah.
Wow. That's great. Good to know. I learned something today.
If people are calling me by my name all the time, essentially they're calling me by the meaning of the name. And
Yeah.
I think words are so powerful in the brain. When you look at brain science, it shows evidence that our brain will go in the direction of the words that we speak. It will anchor in belief systems and thought patterns. And so what we say is very powerful,
Yes.
in all of mental health and healing. It's really important to not identify our personhood with our struggles.
Mm.
Um, you know, if you say, I have this or I am this, in terms of like a diagnosis or something, it anchors in and aligns with your identity.
Mm.
Whereas you saying, I'm a person who experiences, instead of saying, I have anxiety, that's owning that we have it, right?
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
opposed to saying, I'm a person who experiences or struggles with anxious thoughts and
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah.
It separates our personhood from what we're experiencing. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's not meant to diminish that there is maybe a diagnosis there or the intensity level isn't there, but it's separating our personhood from our experiences and not owning that as part of our identity.
Yeah. I can feel the difference when you're saying that I am anxious versus I'm a person who is whatever the feeling is. There's
Yeah.
this gap, you know, there's a gap, and that's very healthy. That felt like so healthy that I'm not impacting, my body is not impacted with
Yeah.
whatever is going through. I see what is happening, but
Yeah.
I'm not, my body is not reacting, or my
Yeah.
body can just observe and be
Yeah.
still, and which is okay.
Right. Yeah, our brain is always looking for evidence of what we're speaking out. So if we say something that's like, "Oh, this is so hard," our brain's going to give us evidence to say, "Yep, that's hard," and it's going to repeat to us circumstances that are hard, that are
Yeah.
difficult. Where if we say it's something I'm learning and growing in every day and becoming better at every day, our brain's going to give us evidence of how we've grown. It's going to give us evidence of how we've become better over time instead of feeling that constriction. So language is so powerful in
Mm.
partnering with forward facing, healing, hope based language. We're not trying
Yes.
to diminish or even, positive psychology away our pain. That's not what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But our words have such power and they've traced the neuron pathways in our brain of how it can fuel us into healing. The same is true with gratitude, how it can fuel us into healing instead of being stuck in a painful place.
Yeah, I can totally feel the difference. And sometimes I feel like, when we are talking about something intense and serious,
Hmm.
at least we shouldn't be using difficult words, we should
Right.
talk in a very simple language so that we are not complicating ourselves. It's already complicated, like,
Yeah.
so what's the point of like doubly complicating with our knowledge of good words or vocabulary? Just let them
Yeah.
say simply, so that it is not impacting us, not heavy. It's like
Yeah.
just easy, let it flow. We can talk about it, and all things are welcome, sort of a thing, that takes us in a state of
Yeah.
relaxation, like we are not worked up anymore. We are like, okay, let it come, we are here, we can talk
Yeah.
about it. So yeah, words have power, language is important, very important. Gratitude is important. I mean, it definitely, for me, gratitude is very relaxing, like,
Yeah.
it's a release point for me. Like, if I'm into that state of gratefulness, or feeling grateful, or conveying my gratitude, I feel totally relaxed, like my heart is opening, and I can breathe well, my nervous system is
Hmm.
calm, so my
Yeah.
body lets me know that, okay, I'm feeling good.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
uh, what else I was going to say? So how do you feel now, since you have been working how many years now? 20 years?
Hmm.
15, 20
Yeah.
years?
Yeah. 20 years in education.
What changes do you see? Like, how have things changed?
I think the biggest impact that I saw was the change after we have come through COVID,
Yeah.
um, and the isolation that individuals experienced imprinted on the nervous system so
Hmm.
differently. What I tell people is that adults came through it differently than children and teens did. And the reason that is because adults, their part of their brain, their prefrontal cortex, that thinking, logic, and reasoning center up here, really was developed. If you were over 25, it's fully developed. And so you had a measure of coping skills, healthy, unhealthy, or in between, that you were able to return to or shift from as part of coming through that period of time when all the isolation occurred and even the healing processes and moving forward since then. But children and teens, children up to the age of 10, don't even have an engagement of their prefrontal cortex. Everything is very black and white to them. So they learned patterns of engagement and they missed out on patterns of relationship at a very early ages in those formative years, or what was their normative was taken from them by this isolation. And that's a big traumatic shift in a person's functioning when you have a trajectory of moving forward and all of a sudden everything shifts in that formative years. For those that were in our teen years, I saw a lot of regression for
Hmm.
their emotional mental state. We had teens who were highly engaged, doing well in school, and all of a sudden the isolation had this compounded effect on their functions, and they started failing classes and really experiencing mental health challenges. And so, what I would say that is different, especially in the last 5 years, the significant impact has been on the emotional and social and mental maturity that
Mm-hmm.
our teens have experienced. But the imprint and shift you can see the same way as an individual who previously who there was just a few individuals that experienced significant trauma to their brain development, and you could see how it showed up sporadically here and there with students in the classroom. Now it's everybody all the time. The whole grade level might have is showing the same signs and symptoms of a trauma to the brain. And for the adults, it's difficult to sort of acclimate to this fact that we had such a shift. This year is the first year that student individuals who were born during COVID are going to kindergarten. And
Oh,
so, yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about. But so from here through till they graduate, education is going to experience these patterns until we get this set of babies that were born that year through, because they didn't experience going to preschools the same way. They didn't experience family outings the same way, family engagements in those really early years, which is a really high area for a lot of neuron pathways to grow in the brain. So the change and shift that I've seen is this recalibration of how do we help the individual, the student socially and emotionally and mentally recalibrate from this significant trauma, but also those that were already in school, how do we help their learning gaps that occurred because they went to a completely different learning environment? Maybe they weren't well equipped. Maybe the environment they were in at home was so difficult that not much learning took place from a computer or, virtually. So all of these brain shifts that occurred have been had a significant impact then on the adults, the teaching staff, the educators. They are burning out much faster because they are literally like first responders in a
mm,
school system. And so some of them haven't processed their own life traumas or their own difficult circumstances. And now and this is not to diminish the work the first responders do, but burnout is very high when you think of first responders, of police, fire, EMT,
yeah,
nurses, doctors. Now our educational staff is experiencing this same impact. And so people are leaving the teaching profession faster than they ever have because
mm-hmm.
they can't sustain this secondary trauma that they're experiencing,
Yeah,
because the students that they're dealing with all day are like individuals who are coming out of a trauma situation.
yeah, that's a lot.
Mhm.
It's a lot. I mean, already the strength of the class is like, for example, 20 students, and there's one teacher.
Mhm.
And if five students are acting out or like they are not able to regulate, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah.
Wow, it's challenging, I would say.
Yeah,
It's very challenging, and we are not sometimes prepared.
right.
Uh,
I think
so
our teaching staff, what I've said to them in trainings, especially since then, if you were a teacher before COVID, if you were a teacher before 2020 in a classroom, you're going to have the hardest time because you want everything to return to the way it used to be. And
yeah,
in your mind, you believe that it should just go back.
yeah,
But you are operating from a place where your brain knows how to do that and had things in place to do that. The children that we're working with didn't have that developed and are coming from a place where they don't know how to do that well. So
yeah,
you have to be the model to teach them. And then it's
yeah,
like, oh, well, if I have to be the model that teaches them, how do I do that?
yeah, yeah.
So,
It's really challenging, and we are happy that I am happy that I met someone who is really taken upon this role of helping teachers with some tools and helping them self-regulate.
mhm,
I mean, it's a good way of empathizing and practicing compassion.
mhm,
Yes, we definitely have degrees and qualifications and everything,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, we need some kind of human connection,
Yeah.
understanding that, okay, somebody understood the way I reacted and helped us regulate.
Yeah.
So that's really great, and I think that that helps them, that brings them to a point where they can start trusting themselves more
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
be more confident that, okay, I'm learning, I can do better.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. It was wonderful talking to you. We are
Yeah.
coming to almost the end of our episode today. So I want you to really leave us with a message
Mm.
for all of us for the
Yeah.
day and time today. Yeah.
Here's what I would say is that I've studied a lot about this idea of hope.
Okay.
And hope is, when you look at it, it's not an emotion, it
Mm-hmm.
is a behavior that is usually modeled for people around by people around us. And there's research out there that says that hope is comprised of goal setting, a pathway to completion, and the sense of agency, which is the ability to believe that you can do something. Finding the right people that can support your sense of agency is really important. Finding those people in life, those things in life, maybe it's faith, a spiritual practice, maybe it's a family member that supports you, friendships that support you, communities in different ways. But our sense of agency is what struggles oftentimes in the healing. And so,
Wow.
what I say to everybody is you are worth doing the work to find healing. You're worth doing the work to healing the wounds that you have. But finding that person, situation, event, organization, practice that supports your sense of agency, your ability to believe you can do it, is so powerful in expediting your healing and allowing you to continue in that journey. So finding those people that continue to walk alongside you, or groups or practices that support that, is a really powerful tool that anybody can use at any time in their healing journey.
That's amazing. I learned that we need human connection
Mhm. Yeah.
because we are looking for that one person who can show us,
Yeah.
believe in us or see us the way we are, you know?
Yeah. And it can be different in different areas of our life. We can have
Yes,
somebody that can do that for us at a job. We can have somebody that does it for us in our private life. Maybe there's somebody that does it for you in a certain field or area that's of importance to you. Um, so it's not always just one person, but that
yes,
connection is what continues to provide us hope.
yeah,
She models it to us so that we can continue to move forward. And in turn, we get the opportunity to do that to the people that we know that are further behind us in their healing journey as well.
yeah. It's a chain, ripple
Mhm.
effect.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jessica. It was really nice talking to you.
Yeah.
I loved your calm tone. So nice. You were like, your pace was really nice, like, I loved listening to you. Like,
Thank you. Yeah, I've had some people say, "You need to record some things. I could fall asleep just relaxing to your voice."
yeah, actually, you should do that.
Yeah,
Get
so
on it.
yes, it's on the list.
Good. I'm looking forward. If you share in YouTube, I'm going to listen to it.
There you go. I love it.
Okay. So thank you very much. We wish
Yes.
you all the best. Thank you for serving. Thank you
Yes,
for
thank you
helping
for having me.
people. And good night. Thank you for being with us.
Mhm.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.